Welcome back to Legends of Britain. Thank you for joining us again as we delve into the darkest corners of our nation's history. This is where we uncover the baffling, the mysterious, and the truly unsettling stories that have long been forgotten. Your support makes this journey possible, and we're grateful to have you with us. Let's get started. We often assume that danger lies hidden in the shadows of our bustling cities. But what about the vast open spaces of our country? The isolated islands, the windswept moors, and the lonely coastlines. Here, the crimes are different. They're not born of greed or rivalry, but of isolation, desperation, and the immense, terrifying power of nature itself. In places where the nearest help is miles away and the only witnesses are the gulls, the line between an accident and a deliberate act can become blurred. These are the secrets the landscape keeps. Tales of what happens when man is alone against the sea, and the darkness comes not from the shadows, but from the depths of the ocean. Tonight, we journey to the wild, windswept coastline of Scotland, to the remote island of Eilean Mor. Here stands a lighthouse, a beacon of hope for sailors navigating the treacherous seas. But in the winter of 1900, the light went out, not from a storm, but from a silent mystery. 3 lighthouse keepers, Thomas Marshall, James Ducat, and Donald McArthur, vanished into thin air, leaving behind an eerie silence, a half-eaten meal on the table, and a cryptic note. This is the enduring mystery of the lighthouse keeper's secret. The men of the Eilean Mor lighthouse were a unique breed, chosen for their resilience and unwavering sense of duty. The crew consisted of 3 very different individuals. Thomas Marshall, the head keeper, was a veteran seaman known for his calm and meticulous nature. He was a stickler for the rules, knowing that on this dangerous post, protocol was everything. Then there was James Ducat, a quiet, thoughtful man with a love for books and his pipe and a steadfast sense of duty. He was Marshall's most trusted second-in-command. Finally, there was Donald McArthur, the youngest and most hot-tempered of the 3. He had served for years as a relief keeper and was desperate for a permanent post. His relationships with James and Thomas were often strained, a simmering tension beneath the surface. Together, they were the silent guardians of the sea, but on that desolate rock, their isolation was absolute. With nothing but the vast ocean surrounding them and a shared duty, their lives were a delicate balance of routine and growing frustrations. When the relief crew arrived, they were met by a chilling silence. There was no one to greet them. The main door was unlocked, a grave error that spoke of a sudden departure. Inside, the silence was so profound, it felt deafening. A half-eaten meal sat on the table, cold and congealed. An overturned chair lay on the floor, and the clock had stopped at 9 p.m., suggesting a sudden, frantic event. Their oilskins were missing, indicating they had gone outside during the storm that had swept the area, a dangerous and unusual move. The most unsettling discovery was in the head keeper's logbook. The final entry was a panicked scrawl, almost illegible, mentioning a great storm and something unholy. It was the only witness to the eerie silence, a final clue left by the men who had vanished. The investigation fell to Inspector Carmichael, a grizzled veteran from the mainland. A man of logic and facts, he was out of his element on the isolated island. The sheer scale of the place and the deafening sound of the sea were unsettling. He and his team searched the island thoroughly, but found nothing. No bodies, no signs of a struggle. The only things he had were the disturbing clues inside the lighthouse and the local rumors. The mainland locals, superstitious and wary of outsiders, spoke of curses and sea monsters. Carmichael dismissed these tales, but his attention was drawn to the strained relationship between the keepers. He knew that Donald McArthur was hot-tempered and often clashed with the calm Thomas Marshall. The overturned chair and the uneaten meal led him to a plausible theory. A fight had broken out, and in the chaos, all three men had fallen into the sea. He pursued this red herring for days, wasting valuable time and resources, unwilling to accept that the case was anything more than a tragic accident. Frustrated and on the verge of giving up, Carmichael stumbled upon a small, leather-bound map tucked inside a forgotten locker. It wasn't a nautical chart, but a cryptic sketch of the island's coastline marked with strange symbols. It was a complete puzzle, a code that baffled his team. He sought the help of Angus MacDonald, a reclusive old sailor from the mainland who knew the island's waters better than anyone. Angus was initially reluctant, fearing the island's secrets, but Carmichael persuaded him, and together they studied the map. Angus, with his knowledge of old smuggling routes and sea lore, realized the symbols weren't a code, but a primitive guide to the island's geology. The marks indicated a hidden path to a cave system only accessible during low tide. The keepers, in their isolation, had discovered something down there. Following the map, Carmichael waited for low tide and braved the perilous journey to the cave. Inside, he found a shocking secret. Not a storm shelter, but a hidden cavern used for a centuries-old smuggling operation. There lay rusted crates of old muskets and a fortune in gold coins, remnants of a forgotten era. But the most tragic discovery was the bodies of the three keepers hidden behind a stack of crates. They hadn't been lost to the sea, they had been murdered. They were silenced by a secretive group of locals who had been protecting the treasure for generations. The keepers' final, desperate act was to create that map, hoping someone would find the truth. In the end, the lighthouse keepers of Eilean Mor were not lost to the sea, but to human greed. Their disappearance was a murder most foul, a dark secret that the island had protected for centuries. But thanks to their final witness, the cryptic map, their story could finally be told. Carmichael brought the smugglers to justice, but he left the island with a new understanding. Some of Britain's most beautiful and remote places hold the darkest of secrets, and not all monsters live in the deep. And so, a chilling mystery on a remote Scottish island was finally brought to light. The lights of the lighthouse were extinguished not by the forces of nature, but by the dark greed of man. This story serves as a stark reminder that sometimes the most terrifying secrets are not found in distant lands, but in the darker corners of human nature. What did you think of tonight's story? Did you guess the dark secret behind this mystery? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you want to hear more stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to Legends of Britain. Your support is vital as we work towards our goal of 1 crore subscribers. We'll see you next time.